Hi, Randy. How are you?
Good. How are you today, Jesse?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Good. So let's dive right in. So the movie is very violent, very entertaining. I was curious, how did the project originally come about?
It's quite a simple genesis, really. Scott was expecting a second child. I'd worked with him 4 or 5 times before. We had a green light for a picture. Scott was expecting his second child and didn't want to leave the UK, so we had to scramble for a script that I had that was set in the UK, and I could go back to one that I'd written, 20 years ago, which was this story of retribution and sort of violence. I grew up in England and had a deep sort of passion for the London Underground and in terms of the violent criminal underworld and how that worked and the interesting sort of machinations that happened within that structure. I always found it very, very dramatic and interesting. The script was rewritten by Scott's old friend, Sue Small, who is our go-to writer when we're dealing with Scott, because knows him very well, knows his sensibility, knows what he does well and what he doesn't. We had him do a pass on the script. And at that point, we immersed ourselves in the London Underground, the world, looking for cool locations and putting together. The genesis for the film was a film called Harakiri, which I watched, a 1962 movie by Masaki Kobayashi, which uses as its framework a samurai walks into a castle, asks to commit suicide, and then as he's there, we slowly learn the reasons that he's there for. He's there to get the guys. He didn't just choose that castle randomly. The samurai retainers there were all people that had interaction with him, but they didn't know it. And I always thought that was a really, really interesting framework to set a gangster movie in. So, we took that as our starting point, and then when obviously it's quite significantly different to that film, but I liked the opportunity to tell a story in a different way, and I thought Avengement gave us that opportunity to tell a well-known story in a very different way, an entertaining way. Oftentimes, it's the way a story is told that makes it that much more memorable than another one. And I thought the way this is laid out was rather exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'm curious about the fight choreography. What was it like coming up with all those moves and directing that?
Well, it was written into the script anyway. It's obviously always very challenging trying to do something that's interesting, hasn't been done a million times before, and then also coming up with the reasons for 2 people actually hit each other in the face. It's quite good. I've never actually, I try and avoid getting in real fights, and when your living is creating dramatic scenarios for people to hit each other in the face, it can sometimes be quite difficult finding another reason that you haven't used before for two grown men to have to assault each other. And I think being in prison is a really good for that. So gave us a lot of opportunity for doing that. But to be honest, when it comes to the fight choreography, I default to Scott. I've done years of choreography as a stuntman. I don't particularly need to prove myself by doing it anymore. So I focus on telling the story and getting the performance, getting the cameras, and I'll watch what they're doing. I'll tell them, ideas that I think are good at the location that they should incorporate into the choreography. But beyond that, I know well enough to lead the choreographers and let some guys do that. Put it together, put it on a review videotape. I'll review the videotape, give them my notes, tell them what I like and what I don't like, and at that point, we a few days later we'll shoot it on set, and it goes very, very smoothly. Everyone is in agreement. That's sort of the best way to do it. I find coming from stunt, I can set the challenges to my team, and they come up with how to fix it. If they get in trouble, they can always come to me, and I'll give them advice. But that's I know well enough to leave them alone and hire the best people to do it. You don't really want your director running off doing stunt coordination when you should be focused on giving performance and telling a story.
Right.
But it is fun to be a part of, and every once in a while I get swept up and watch how exciting it is to watch, to be a part of. But Scott is very, very good at this stuff. He's probably the best in the world. He's the best in the business at the moment at this kind of acting and martial arts, and combining the two. And I hope that Avengement is one that gets noticed and gets a little more dramatic interest because I think it's the best performance yet as well. And it's very rare to have someone who is so physically gifted who's also a very, very good actor. And I think the performance he gives as Cambridge is really, really brilliant. I'm very, very proud of the work he's done. I think I can say that because it wasn't me doing it, so it's okay to take pride in it because it was not my doing.
Now, was Scott always attached to the project, or were other actors considered for the lead role?
No, I don't. This script was written for Scott in the way that it was. The way I wrote it as a young man, it wasn't written for anyone. It was what it was a you know when you're young and you write these scripts, you write them for in your mind to you don't have anchor friends or affections at that point. I think it might have gone through a manifestation of other actors trying to get it made, and then it was put on the shelf until this opportunity presented itself. At which point Scott was, we had to adapt it a little bit for him, but not too much. At one point he was going to play both brothers, and we had actually played around with doing that and shooting with a double and the twin and the bad twin. But then it's just too many similarities to something like a Double Impact, and the realization that we only had a certain amount of time to make the movie, and putting the makeup on and taking it off was going to take a lot of time, and would it really pay off dramatically at the end of the day? So I think by choosing Craig Fairbrass, who I think is phenomenal in the part, I think it was a smart decision. Things went very well. He's very, very good, and it's a challenge. Scott was going very, very big with the performance, and I think Craig did really, really well by going small and underplaying, and consequently, stealing a lot of those scenes. I think he's brilliant. If you enjoyed Craig Fairbrass's performance,
I'm sorry. Remind me, which one was he?
He's the brother. He's
Oh yeah. No, I thought that everyone in the film was actually really talented. I even liked the bartender. Bez's character she was good.
She's awesome. She's a tough East End girl. I think she did great with very little and made it quite memorable in the end. Perfect. She's quite well in shape.
I'm curious though. What was the casting process like for this film?
Absolutely terrifying. Arrived there, didn't have much time to go, and I hadn't been filming in the UK in a long time. I'd made one film there in 20 years. So I brought together a very, very trusted group of people, a trusted producer, a very trusted casting director, and we very, very carefully brought people in and brought names up. And I basically threw myself at everyone I know there and said, who's the best? Who are the best people we can get, and work in this budget level, in this, this genre, who are not only the best, character actors, but the guys that are used to working gangsters and can do this and bring in nuance and a level to it. And we got tremendously lucky. The supporting cast we have around us is absolutely top notch, really, really good.
Yeah.
Leo Gray, was a lead. Thomas Turgoose was a lead in a film. These guys have all been lead actors in their respective movies, and they bring that gravitas and experience and expertise to it. And very, very lucky. But yes, it was absolutely nerve-wracking. I think Thomas Turgoose, who's the blonde gangster in the pub, we got I think about 11 hours before filming. It was like about 11. It was either 11 p.m. or midnight that he signed on the night before and arrived the next day and was absolutely off-birth and perfect. We couldn't believe it because he had a page and a half's worth of dialogue, in that sequence, and it was really, really exciting. There's always an unfriendly amount of luck involved in casting, but it really is sort of 80% of the work that the director does is choosing the best cast or being, in this case, lucky.
Yeah. No, it all worked really well, and it's a very, very interesting movie. Now, I'm curious, this is obviously a crime action thriller. Are there any other genres that you want to tackle that you haven't already?
I mean, the Western is something that I have a deep love for. I adore them, and I have a script that I'm trying to do there. It is a little bit violent, and there's probably an element of thriller to it as well. But in terms of genre, I love period pieces. I love immersing myself in another era. How do people talk? How do they communicate? How do they show they're angry? what they do when they want to chill out, and and addressing everything, and you creating this this universe that it used to be, and it's a really wonderful thing to do, to lose yourself in that, make a film. I love to do a musical. There's a Prohibition musical that they have to me, and honestly, the choreography is, if you look at the work of Gene Kelly or those kind of guys when they're doing their dance routine, the outfits they chose and the way they photographed it, it's not too difficult for what they do now. If you have a dancer who can really do what he can do, then you tend to pull the camera back and do wide shot, like you do with these kind of martial artists like Scott Adkins. Pull the camera back as far as you can and show what he can do. If you have an actor or a dancer or a martial artist who doesn't really know what he's doing, you keep the camera, fairly close and tight, so that you don't give too much information to the audience. A lot of the basic storytelling is similar, except that you're working to music. But there's also rhythm to the best fight choreography as well.
Right.
Even if that rhythm is asymmetrical, and designed to shock the audience, there still must be a rhythm to it. I find myself, even with the big gun battle stuff, when doing shootouts, you're conducting it to some form of inner rhythm. Otherwise, it doesn't feel right. Otherwise.
So Jesse, I'm just curious, who are some of your filmmaker influences?
My absolute favourites, and I tend to immerse myself in the older stuff because I'm a bit of a thief, and otherwise, you don't want to steal from any movies in a way that you notice it in your films. So I tend to go back a little further. But I love the work of Howard Hawks, John Ford, Kurosawa, those guys. But my deep passionate love is for Sam Peckinpah. I have almost every book written on him and his life and the filmmaking process. I try to sort of align myself with people that work with him. I just find the poetry in violence and in action something that is really, really interesting to me. In literal terms, it's like Hemingway or John Bell or Melville or something like that. It's, the ability, when you are dealing with a high action situation, the opportunity for drama and storytelling and mythology is just that bit more defined, As opposed to people having a conversation in a house and or a love affair or anything like that. The drama that comes from a life or death situation is just that bit more exciting to me, and I think I'm drawn to that and the particular characters of that era.
Cool. So, all right. So Jesse, tell everyone, how can they see the movie? When is it coming out? It's coming out May 24th.
It is. It comes out on Blu-ray, DVD, VOD May 24th, and they should go see it because it is it's a very interesting and arresting film, and it's in an era of films that are driven by enormous effect sequences and $200 million P&A budget guys flying through the universe and destroying buildings. This is a dirty film about revenge, told by characters who really are the real thing and rich and developed, and it's something a little more, something a little different if you're bored of the superhero movies. And I love the superhero movies, but if you want something a little different, something that's going to last with you, and bone breaking and teeth punching and jaw shattering, this is something that may rock your clock.
Right. And it is action-packed, and the performances are terrific. And Jesse, I just want to thank you so much for your time today. This was great.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Take care.
All right. You too. This has been Under the Radar, and your host, Randy Unger. And, check out Avengement, coming out May 24th. Thanks, guys.